What's up, ADOS and our allies? Good evening on the West Coast. Good evening in the Central. Good evening on the East Coast. You know who it is, family. Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest on the Friends of ADOS TV channel. What's up, Kunta? Thank you for joining the live, bringing you those ADOS hot topics and making the case for reparations, making the case for Democratic down ballot strategy. And today, family, I got that ADOS Central Texas in the lobby waiting to come up to talk about that fire, that historic Second Amendment walk that was just off the chain. Travis shared some pictures with me, and I'm telling you, they were deep. There's nothing more powerful than seeing our brothers take charge of the communities and let folks know they are present for their women and their children. Okay? And it just thrills me through and through to see these kings, these soldiers, rock hard for the ADOS community. I couldn't be prouder to have the one, the only Travis Johnson, the one, the only Nick Bazelle, and the president of ADOS Central Texas, Catherine Henderson. She'll be in a little later than them, but hopefully by the time I bring them up, she will have joined us. If not, we'll bring her into the party as soon as she joins the live. Thank you, Darlene, for joining the live. Good evening. Yes, family, a lot is going on with the ADOS as the ADOS lives turn, right, family? Yeah. Trump looks like he's trying to throw the entire election. Yes, he does. How in the world do you think it's a winning strategy to tell people that you're not going to give them a stimulus until after you become the president for a second term? Something ain't right with that, family. I think he's trying to throw the election. I really do. That is political suicide, to allow the people to lose their homes in a climate when they can't find work. Over 60 million people have lost their jobs, and he's talking about weaponizing the stimulus until he gets another term. I would venture to say this will be it for you, Trump. Is that what you're trying to do? Because we're trying to break the back of the establishment, and we need to use you to do that. But you're throwing the whole election with that nonsense. What's up, Nisi Lord? Thank you for joining the live. Yeah, so I'm not really understanding. What's up, Josh Graham? Thank you for joining the live. I don't understand how he and his dum-dum crew think that this is a winning strategy. Yes, indeed. So we got to talk about that. I'm going to get the opinions of my guests on that issue. And that Kamala, wasn't she pretty last night, family? She was so beautiful, wasn't saying nothing. I'm just like, she knows how to make herself seem mighty important. Okay? She can run down her street creds like what? But trying to act as if you were a progressive prosecutor in California, I don't get how any of that works together. Okay? So as far as I'm concerned, her being able to conjure up Tupac from the dead as her favorite rapper, and you can't remember George Floyd, who jumped all of these protest marches off. George Floyd, 846 to the neck, is what brought all of the globe out to actually fight on behalf of Black Lives Mattering, and you can't recall his name. But when asked about your favorite rapper, you can sit up here and say, Tupac, who's been dead for how long? God only knows how long. So what I can't stand about a VP that's pretty is how they use that pretty against the ADOS community. You want to sit up here and not even deal. There are many opportunities in what she did last night to change her position on doing something for the ADOS community, right? Y'all want to get caught up in government sanctioned executions, and you really can't go hard on Daniel Cameron, right? Cameron the Coon, whatever you want to call him. You really can't go in because you cut from that same cloth, right, Skamala? Yes, you are. Did y'all see how she pivoted, right? She was a woman of color till she remembered. We've been in the social media spaces. Define those labels. Define the POC, the BIPOC, the minority, the Black African American, right? Like, we've been up there talking that we are ADOS. And so she said she was a woman, the first woman of color, Black. Yeah, she made that shift real quick, right? Now, what's up, Shirley Hussar? I love you, Black and Strong. Shout out to Shirley. Shirley is my Republican sister from another mister. I told you guys in this space, it ain't a party thing. It ain't an organization thing. It is an ADOS thing. FBAB1, BF1. I don't care where you are. If you are on the page with me with reparations and a Black agenda in exchange for our vote, you are a friend of mine. Yeah, I don't discriminate against celebrities. I don't discriminate against anyone who wants to do this work. Well, I don't know if you guys know this or were able to tune in to the link where I was asked to be a panelist on the Spectrum News One post debate. We can thank Shirley Hussar and her influence down here in Southern California throughout all of the major news stations. And she was the one to get me visible on that show. So family, show your love in the chat to our sister, Republican sister. She is a friend to me, a sister to me, a friend to the show, a friend of ADOS. And she is ADOS, and she fights for ADOS. When we were doing COVID relief letters, she was doing COVID relief letters. So she is due a debt of gratitude for rolling with ADOS as ADOS, okay? Be mindful not to discriminate. But yes, so, we got a really entertaining show lined up for you. But that Kamala, who didn't pivot at all, she was pretty, and she talks so well, reminds me of Obama. And she gave that sister girl thing, that ski-wee thing she does from Howard University as a bison. She had all that down, had that attitude, my turn to speak, and all that jazz. But what she failed to do was stress how it's not just government-sanctioned execution that is crushing our people. How about a lack of health care? We die from lack of health care more than we die from government-sanctioned execution, okay? Miseducation kills us, okay? That's the preschool to prison pipeline. That kills us. Being redlined into environmentally racist communities kills us. Lack of jobs kills us. Underemployment kills us, Trump and Obama alike want to brag about the unemployment numbers, but they don't look at the 40% or more of Black men who can't find work. And they furthermore are filling these numbers with get jobs thanks to Obama. He's the one to let Uber, have a leeway in our communities and make that like a job to fulfill these quotas to make you think we're back to work. These jobs have no benefits. You're on your own, and you have to work like a dog behind the wheel, some dog tired, just to cut any eke of a living out of these gig jobs. They have no benefits, no retirement, no health care. You are on your own if something happens to you, and you're wearing out your automobiles. So as they sit here and talk about how great the unemployment figures are, The people are back to work. The devil is a lie. That's not ADOS. Yeah. Okay. Immigration. This is a problem. How immigration is being weaponized against us. This is where I agree with Trump. Close these borders down. These Democrats want to give access to 11 more million Latinx people and give them a pathway to citizenship before making us American. Okay? Before cutting us that reparations and Black agenda. Well, what happens? They're able to come over here and take advantage of all the set-asides that are ours. And these class-based policies Kamala was on does not fix race. Okay, so we've got miseducation, redlining into environmentally hazardous communities, environmentally racist communities. I watched a show this evening on gentrification. Broke my heart. It was a short film about 15 minutes long, and it chronicled a gentleman's life in over the Rhine in Cincinnati, wherein he walks you through how his candy store slash karate school slash home, was taken from him through gentrification. And it's making me see the connection between the annihilation of our people in the communities, followed by a bunch of rioting. Gentrification and opportunity zones follow up when that happens. And that's the trick bag they put you in. Opportunity zones is a new name for gentrification. And so we're being gentrified out of our own communities. We're denied homes. We're denied jobs. Okay. We're denied businesses. This is what a wealthless group looks like. It looks like all of what you see right now. And this lesser two evil two-step shuffle to our own peril is no longer the solution. So tune in Sunday when I'll be bringing in Vice Presidential candidate of the Green Party, Angela Walker, to talk about our strategy to vote Green top of the ticket and Democratic down ballot to protect the interest of the over 42% of us that rely on government assistance by design of institutional systemic racism. What's up, Jamar Carlisle? Thank you for joining the live. Victoria, thank you for joining the live. Yeah, so we're going to be going through that. And before I bring the fellas on, I just want to read you a quick excerpt as to how in the early 20s, this very strategy was being invoked after Roosevelt dishonorably discharged. What's up, Ricky? Thank you for joining the live, my love. Dishonorably discharged our Buffalo soldiers. Let me just read it to you. This strategy of Democratic down ballot was being invoked back in the 1900s. And let me share with you why. What's up, Shauna Kim? Thank you for joining the live, my love. So I'm going to read this and then I'm going to bring up my illustrious guests because I really want to hear from them about, some of these hot topics that are impacting ADOS. But I want to remind us every show that while the world is spinning off its axis, what the ADOS has to do this election cycle to gridlock government so that we can stop the hemorrhaging on the ADOS community. A trifecta of either party, family, will be to the peril of ADOS. We will be the only ones suffering. I'm not here to tell you that what I'm suggesting and what the ADOS is suggesting will not bring about casualties. This time, we won't be the only ones. What's up, Robin Felix, Debonair One? Thank you guys for joining the line. Okay, so let's get into this so I can bring my guest up. They're waiting. The 25th Infantry Regiment of Buffalo Soldiers, a name for the Black regiments of the time, arrived at Fort Brown near Brownsville, Texas on July 28, 1906. From the moment they appeared, white residents kept up a campaign of vicious harassment and threats. When a white man was shot to death, members of the regiment were forced to flee a mob of people who accused them of committing the murder. Tensions were so high that the regimental commander ordered an early curfew. and confined the troops to their barracks. Stick a pin in that, okay? A second shooting was blamed on the already quarantined soldiers despite confirmation of their presence in the fort. Without an official charge or trial, 167 of the troops were dishonorably discharged, deprived of pensions, and prevented from gaining federal employment or reinstatement to the Army. This decision was not announced until November 5th, 1906, after congressional elections had taken place, and leaders such as W.E.B. Du Bois had urged Black voters to stay in the Republican column. Dr. Charles Morris, pastor of New York's Abyssinian Baptist Church, spoke for most of Black America when he described the chain of events. Quote, "The president's decree was signed the day after the election. He shot us when our gun was empty, but we shall have 2 years to work. And our slogan shall be, a Republican Congress to protect our people in the South, and a Democratic president to resent the insult heaped upon us. Thus shall we answer Theodore Roosevelt, once enshrined in our love as our Moses, now enshrouded in our scorn as our Judas." Let me bring you up to 2020, and I'm going to plug in what is happening modern day. We shall have 2 years to work on replacing a lame Congress. And our slogan shall be, a Democratic Congress to protect the over 42% of ADOS who rely on government assistance by design of institutional systemic racism, and a Republican president to resent the insult of election interference by Obama and the like, and forcing the author of the 94 crime bill, segregationist Jim Crow Joe Biden, and Cali's top cop, Kamala the Chameleon, upon us. So that is what voting green at the top of the ticket and Democratic down ballot strategy is all about. I am asking ADOS not to waste their vote writing in ADOS when, if they don't know their Board of Election laws through and through, they run the risk of having the entire ballot thrown out. I'm asking you to help the Green Party to get at least 5% so that they can be on every ballot henceforth in future elections, and we can actually get a third party going. Okay, where'd my fellas go? I guess I went too long. There he is. Okay, introducing Travis Hill and Nick Bazelle. Stand by, family. Fellas. Uh-oh, did I unmute you? Hold on. Unmute.
Yeah.
Unmute.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Travis.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Nick.
All right.
Our soldiers, family. I know this just warms the ladies' hearts. I know it warms my heart to know that we've got two incredible brothers, more than that, in this movement all throughout the country, that are ride or die for ADOS. And I brought these brothers on here today to thank them for their leadership in Texas, thank them for their fearlessness, and just everything they do to advance the protections of the ADOS community and in this fight for reparations. Thank you, brothers, for joining my live again. Now, who would like to go first in sharing about the historic Second Amendment walk down in Texas? I just need my audience to know what happened, who spoke. Just take us back. Take us back. We want to hear all about it.
You got to know, Guns. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jim. I salute.
So we had a few speakers that came out. Obviously, Catherine Henderson, the president of ADOS Central Texas, she spoke. I spoke. Travis spoke. Babu Amawale, the president of the Huey P. Newton Gun Club. I mean, everybody knows them. They're national. He spoke. Jamaica Reed, the sister of James Scott Reed, who was killed during a no-knock warrant. She spoke as well. So we just had a lot of support. We had CBS News came out, Fox came out, the Austin Statesman, they came out and covered it. And a lot of freelance reporters. I mean, it was a lot of people that came out and supported what we did and got some coverage on it. And just the energy was high. A lot of warriors were out there. It was just a lot of high energy with what we had going on. And the special thing about it, we were out there advocating for not just James Scott Reed, but Javier Ambler. And I think we talked about it the last time we were on your show. The special thing was we did this on Saturday. Monday, the sheriff who covered up the evidence for Javier Ambler was indicted.
Whoa, power. And how long it took for that indictment? How long did that take?
2 days.
That man had been 15. Yeah, so we did it on Saturday. He was indicted on Monday. And think about this. That man had been free for about 19 or 20 months.
Oh my God. Look at the power of ADOS. My family don't know what you're speaking about right now. I know everybody hasn't seen the show we did prior. So I need you to fill them in on this particular case and any other one that we referenced. I think it was the two that you just mentioned. Could you fill the family in on how this whole walk came together? It was behind these two brothers, and their executions were instrumental. So give them a little backstory so they can be caught up, because people that are watching the show now didn't necessarily see the other show.
So back in March of 2019, there was a brother here in Austin. He was driving. He had his high beams on, and the police pursued him, took him out of his car, basically tased him to death. They tased him 4 times. He had a heart issue. He pleaded with him just like anybody else. He can't breathe. He's having all these issues. They kept pulling the trigger on the taser, and they ended up killing his brother. This was March 2019. We didn't know anything about it. Nobody really knew anything about it but the family. And then come to find out, June 2020, after the whole George Floyd situation, a reporter here in Austin had picked up on the story and was able to get the body cam footage from a neighboring agency who arrived on the scene to support. They ended up getting the body cam footage from their point of view and had it released. And so you're talking 15 months later after he was killed that this footage came out.
Wow.
And so I was taken back because I'm like, man, this brother been gone 15 months and the footage is just coming out. The family had never seen any footage. And remember, like I said, it came from a different agency. It didn't even come from the agency that executed him. And the real tragic thing was they were working with that TV show Live PD, and the camera crew was there and recorded it. Well, this sheriff that I was just talking about, he instructed the camera crew to destroy the footage. So there was no evidence of it. So if they destroyed the evidence, and their particular sheriff's department destroyed the evidence, they thought nothing was going to come of it. But then they forgot that the Austin Police Department also recorded it. And 15 months later, they had finally released it because people were asking about it. And so, like I said, so that was June of 2020. Here we are, September 26th, we had the walk. September 28th, that sheriff that had all that stuff destroyed was indicted for destroying evidence, particularly to that case, is why he was arrested.
That is so powerful. That is, oh my God. Can you remind my family of the name of the gentleman? Was that James Reed?
No, Javier Ambler. James Scott Reed
Javier.
was killed in a no-knock warrant in Killeen, and Javier Ambler was murdered by Williamson County Sheriff's Department in Austin.
Okay, fill us in about James Reed, because all of this was before Breonna Taylor and George Floyd.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
James
Go
Scott
ahead.
Reed.
Go ahead, Black Dollars.
Already. James Scott Reed was killed here in Killeen, Texas on a no-knock warrant. It was for narcotics. And what ended up happening was they ended up kicking in his door, and then he didn't know what was going on. So he ended up firing a shot. And then the police ended up shooting the place up. And then he only made one shot. And then they ended up saying that he tried to kill the police officers, that whole whitewash they try to do and say, we did something kind of similar to Kenneth Walker of what happened to him. And so he ended up losing his life. And we, ever since then, we found out about James Scott Reed. We've been working with the family to try to get them justice for what had taken place here in Killeen. And they just recently had a James Scott Reed caravan here in Killeen, Texas, that was it went very well. And it was a great turnout. And but the only problem is that the city of Killeen, Texas is still keeping the no-knock warrants in place. They have not removed the no-knock warrants, even though what happened to James Scott Reed and our brother Marvin Lewis Guy, who's currently in prison right now, ended up, losing their life. And then the brother Marvin Lewis Guy is in prison right now. So that's where we are. And we have to be very vigilant about how we deal with the police and what we do to secure our homes. Make sure you have ADT, make sure you have Vivid, make sure you have some type of security around your home. If you can't afford security, make sure that you have lights posted up somewhere where you can see your front door, you can see your side door, you can see what's going on in your backyard. If you own a home, even if you live in an apartment, make sure that you have your lights on at all times outside of your door, so that way you'll be able to have some type of vision to see, who may be coming, or if someone is knocking on the door, someone's trying to break in your home, because the no-knock warrants have not been banned, and they don't start with the police. A lot of people just think about these no-knock warrants and police officers, but it comes from the judges. The judges are the ones that issue the no-knock warrants. So we can't only focus on defunding the police. We have to go take it a step further, and we got to defund the judges. We need to find out who these judges are, what their records are, who they're close to, and what is their agenda. Do they have politics inside those agendas that are trying to be catered towards us, as far as no-knock warrants go? Because we know that when it comes to white people, they're not going to do these no-knock warrants the same as they do the no-knock warrants on American slaves, because in our community, that's where you see all the police officers at. That's where you see all the white supremacists that have infiltrated police departments come in at. So we just got to make sure that we are communicating with each other, and we are protecting ourselves. We're protecting our homes, and we're protecting our lives. And most importantly, we got to make sure that we're protecting our children, because our children are the ones that need us the most. And they are doing everything in their power to harm our children. And we must start from there and protect them first, foremost.
You're absolutely right on every front. Kunta says, thank you for the work you are doing, my brothers. Daniel Boone, thank you for joining live. He says, aggressive policing and gentrification go hand in hand. There's a lot to consider about Austin. Did you guys want to speak to that? Do you know anything about the aggressive policing and gentrification? They seem to be kind of aligned. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I was talking earlier about a video, he might be referencing that, where in Over the Rhine, a black community in Cincinnati, Ohio, uh, they had the government sanctioned execution of a brother. Next thing you know, there are riots. Next thing you know, they're coming in and building up the community, right? The community is destroyed until these events seem to follow one behind the other, where ultimately gentrification is done and black small business owner, well, in this particular case, it was a black small business owner who had a candy shop, karate studio, and he lived there all in one. Because he didn't own the property, he was given like 45 days to vacate. And it's a 16-minute video to show you what that community looks like before the gentrification, before the execution, before the riots, and then what it morphs into after the riots and how it's pushing us out. Do you see that being the case in some of these communities where the over policing and these no knock warrants is happening? Like someone said that it was a case with Breonna Taylor, but hers was an apartment, not a home, not a private home. So I don't really get the connection with the execution of Breonna Taylor. But did you guys want to weigh in on that at all? The parallel between the police aggressions and gentrification?
Well, I know, I've been in Austin for 10 years, and I've watched the ADOS population in Austin go from, like 13% down to 7%. And I wish Kat was on here to speak about it because she definitely digs into the numbers.
Yeah.
Um, but when you look at East Austin, which is where we started the march from when we marched on the Capitol a couple weeks ago, when you look at what's taking place, so I-35, which divides Austin down the middle, the west side was white and the east side was black. But now when you go over on the east side, when you go down like uh, the streets that run east and west are numbers like second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and so on. So fifth and sixth have been completely gentrified on the east side. So if you go down there, all these businesses are white owned now. And the same thing once you go on 11th and 12th, which we walked down 11th because that's where the Capitol is, 11th and Congress. We crossed over I-35. But when you walk down, there's one black owned business out of like 25 or 30. Well, two actually. Uh, a restaurant where it's called Anything Baked Potato. Shout out to that brother. And then there's a car wash. Other than that, all those businesses been gentrified. Um, and so you figure, I won't necessarily say that it was over policing, but I do believe redlining played a part because what ends up happening, there are two things that happens when you redline neighborhoods. Either you box people in and you lock them in, so then that area is, for instance, like when you look at parts of Flint where the water is bad, or you look at like close to where I'm from, East Chicago, Indiana, there's a lot of lead in the soil because there's a lot of factories there. So they'll section off where the blacks live, the ADOS people live, and their neighborhoods have the highest concentration of lead. So that's one thing that they do when they redline neighborhoods. The second thing is that people are more familiar with is they redline neighborhoods, they section them off, and once you get redlined and you're not green line, that means banks will not loan to those people. So what happens? The property value goes down, You can't get a loan from the bank to repair your home for the upkeep for major maintenance. You miss out on a lot of things. You can't get money to buy your own business there or to help expand your business. So then you end up losing it and you're forced to sell. So the second you're forced to start selling, these investors are going to come in. And once you have enough investors there, that neighborhood is no longer going to be redlined, but the taxes will go up. And then the people who've been living there for 30 or 40 years, they're forced to sell and move somewhere else because they're living on prime real estate. And now it's being gentrified. Instead of revitalization of these neighborhoods and allowing them to do it, they push them out and then everything goes up. And that's what we're seeing in East Austin. So what I see from East Austin is that it's been redlined and gentrified. And, you know, like I said, I only been here 10 years, so I can't really speak on the brutality of the police per se. I do know they've killed quite a few black people throughout the city, but I don't know. I can't speak to what the policing was like, you know, 15 or 20 years ago before these neighborhoods began the gentrification process. I can't really speak to that, but I do know that the banks played a large part in East Austin being gentrified.
Travis, did you want to weigh in on that? What have you experienced?
Well, from an Austin perspective, I would say and I want to shout out to Big Easy, you know, for hosting us after the Second Amendment Unity Walk, the barbershops around there, all the family that came out and supported us, just came out on their porch, or they were in the apartments that showed up for us to cheer us on and to give us that power and that energy that was brewing with our ancestors. They were all around us. And I want to shout out to Sam's Barbecue as well, because they are some brothers that have been there for a long time. And they have told me how the banks won't even loan them any money so they can franchise their businesses out. And then with Sam's Barbecue, they're trying to buy him out in the millions, and he won't sell because Sam's Barbecue has so much rich American slave Adolf's history there that it would be ludicrous to do that. And so what we've done, we've reached out to those specific business owners and told them that if they ever need us for anything, any white supremacists trying to come in there and wreck shop or trying to vandalize the buildings or just do anything that will bring harm and danger to them or their property or their family, to reach out to us, the Elmer Geronimo Pratt Pistol and Rifle Gun Club, and we'll be there to do the community policing. Don't call the police first. Call us first, because we're the first ones that'll get to the scene, and we'll make sure that everything goes accordingly. You know, because we're properly trained, we're veterans out there, and the people that are coming on board with us, we're getting them up to speed on what we're doing and how we're making change, because we're not protesters. Honestly, we're not protesters. We're not sign holders. We're not Black Lives Matter. We're not talking about people of color and minorities out there. We're a results-driven group. When we focus on the project, we get the job done. And a lot of people around us have said that they wanted to pledge their loyalty to us as far as helping us getting out the vote, as far as the Black agenda goes, because we're Black first specifically. We don't care if you're LGBTQ. We don't care about if you're a Christian, Muslim. It doesn't matter to us. If you're Black first, that's what we represent. And I think that the people in that community understand what we're doing now. And the gentrification, the gentrifiers, they've been put on blast. And they know that we'll be back there if we have to, because this is our home. This is our land, Ida B. Wells 2.0. This is our land. And we built this. And what I want to tell you also is that right before that happened, there was an incident that took place at the Evergreen Cemetery where our ancestors are buried. And it's been there since 1926. And some white supremacists came in there and vandalized all the tombstones of our ancestors. This was leading up to the Second Amendment Unity Walk. So I wanted to make sure that's clear. If we find out who did this, they will be punished for their crime. because I don't play when it comes to my ancestors. And no guns here tell you. When it comes to the ancestors, I don't play around. And that's what I stand on. I stand on their shoulders. And I believe that what we do now, today, can start changing things for the better and make everything around Black America more safe if we rely on each other first and just continue to get the knowledge, get the information, and get the data so that it will support whatever you're doing and whatever agenda and motive you have moving forward.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing about all of that. My next question to you guys is your militia akin to INFAC, where it's predominantly military, ex-military, people who have served in the military?
Yeah, our group is diverse. We have people that are military or ex-military, and there's some people who aren't. Some people are just gun enthusiasts, and so we, it's just a bunch of us that got together since the protests had started, and we decided that this is what we wanted to do. And so we've recruited. We've had a lot of young people come together and join our ranks. Every day it seems like somebody new or somebody different is asking how can they get involved. And so we just bring them aboard. We put them through it, ask them, what's their level of expertise, and do they want to be trained, and we give them the rundown. Hey, this is what we're about. This is what we're doing. And either people are built for it or they're not. And not everybody's built to do this type of work. That's the difference. And so if they're built for it, if they're ready for it, then we bring them on. So I'm just a firm believer that at this time, at this juncture, you look at what just happened in Michigan. You had those radical white people up there talking about kidnapping the governor and firebombing the Capitol to the ground. So if they'll do that to white people, what you think they'll do to Black people?
Absolutely. Can you share with my audience who may not know about what happened? Didn't that just happen today?
Yeah, that was discovered today. They arrested those people today. They said they were going to move on her prior to the election, so they moved on it today. But they have been to her vacation home a couple times, and they knew that they were going to kidnap her. They were going to, I guess, kill some people, and they were going to try to burn the state capitol to the ground. And they were able to find out about it and stop it before it happened. But again, if that's what they were going to do to white folks, what do you think they will do to Black people? And
Right.
still so many of our people out here scared to pick up firearms. I mean, you better do something before it's too late, because these white people are not playing. They're ramped up and they're ready to go, and we're still trying to turn the other cheek and sing "We Shall Overcome." Like it's too serious out here. People's lives are in danger. People are taking it for granted. I'm not gonna let some radical white people come to my home or go to Travis's home or whoever else. I just can't subscribe to those type of philosophies. Like, we have to stand up. We can't stand down.
Absolutely. Let's see here. Catherine is having a little challenge with her camera. Let's see if I bring her up, if we can hear her. Well, they won't even let me bring her up. They're going to need to connect their mic cam before you can add them to the stream. Let me let her know that while you guys answer me this. Trump dog whistling to the Proud Boys during the debates. That's very scary to have them. He's trying to clean it up now, but it felt like a serious dog whistle for the Proud Boys to stand by in the event he loses this election. And neither of the vice presidents addressed it when asked about it, on the debates last night. Neither of them. They talked around it like they did many questions. They never stuck with an answer to the actual question. They just start, Kamala just starts spinning off, all of her titles and different positions she's held. She really didn't deal with the issues at all concerning ADOS. But back to the Proud Boys, that feels like a serious threat of another civil war that's about to happen, win or lose, because the challenge is when white folks catch a cold, Black folks catch COVID, okay? And so white folks are hurting now. And what Trump has done with respect to not signing the second wave of stimulus relief really puts everybody in a really, really hard place. I'm gainfully employed, but I've lost thousands from not being able to do my work at full capacity. And so people are not even, if they're working, they're not earning what they once earned. And also, we see, like I said, over 60 million layoffs. And then you have a president who is sick dog whistling about the Proud Boys standing by. Do they really pose a serious threat? Have you guys vetted what their numbers are like at all?
With all these different groups, it's really hard to have an accurate count. With all the 3%ers, with the Proud Boys and other groups, you never really know how many of them there are. But what you can do is be prepared and have what we have to do is mirror what they're doing. And I'm not saying we need to mirror them as far as we need to be radical like what just happened in Michigan and all that other stuff. But what we do need to do, and I'm a huge advocate of it, what we have to do is have our own pockets, our own teams, our own groups, our own gun clubs. And I'm not talking about these little gun clubs that, because I run across a lot of gun clubs or gun organizations that are, black, but they're so passive, right? They're borderline plantational Negroes. Like they would rather just say, "Oh, let's share pictures of guns with one another," instead of saying, "Hey, let's go train together." And in the event something happens, that we can have our own standing group, we can have our own standing militia to protect Black people in our area. But so many of them are so passive, they don't take it. And I pray, that the time doesn't come where Black militias will have to stand up to fight against the Proud Boys or the 3%ers. But you have so many of them that are lost that they're sitting back, just like this brother. And I hate to use him as an example, but we just had a brother last weekend get killed here in Texas by the police, and he was trying to stop a domestic dispute at the gas station. But see, where the problem lies is back in June when everything started, he had this whole mentality saying that there's nothing wrong with the police. All my interactions have been good, and I don't have any issues with them. So he's caping for these for the blue lives. And then he in a follow-up post, he talks about he's addicted to white women. So you see where this individual's mindset is at. So he's literally whitewashed. He's brainwashed by white culture. And then he sticks out his hand to shake this cop's hand, thinking, almost thinking that he's one of them, but he's not. Your skin is different, regardless of what you want to believe. They tased this cat, and then they shot him 4 times and killed him for absolutely no reason. And so I say that because
he was trying to break up a fight at the gas station between a white man.
Domestic dispute.
Yeah. It was a white man and a white woman, and his love of whiteness got him murdered, executed. At that gas station, when they pulled up and saw he was Black, they didn't realize he was there trying to help the woman in a domestic dispute, like you mentioned. But his love of whiteness and his hatred of his own Blackness got him killed.
Yep.
I agree with that.
And that's what I'm telling you about a lot of these black gun groups that aren't. I wouldn't say they aren't as ready as some of us are. And so the problem is going to be that if something, when November 3rd rolls around and something happens, what are they going to do? Are they going to hide? Are they going to stand up and fight? I mean, a lot of them are just so passive, and it burns me up because I'm like we're at the brink, like we're at the Rubicon, basically, right? We're getting ready to cross. It's getting ready to be the point of no return. So what are you
Yeah.
going to do on November 4th or November 5th when the same guy who told them to stand down tells them to stand up? Then what are you going to do? Because basically, to me, by him saying that during that debate, he's basically telling you that's his private army. Those are his guys. And so he told them to stand down, and they already had shirts made before he said it, as if they knew what he was going to say. And so now he told them to stand down, but in 30 days, if he tells them to stand up and they go ballistic through the country, what are these Negroes going to do that they want to train and look cool, but they don't want to come together and unify? You know, instead
Right.
of having 40 or 50 of us on the 26th, it should have been 300 or 400 of us out there.
Damn right.
You know,
Damn right.
and that's the problem. And you know, a lot of times, you know, I get a lot of love and a lot of people, you know, shouting us out for what we're doing, but at the same time, there are some that kind of shun away from the type of advocacy that we do. But you
Yeah.
know, we're part of the warrior class. Like it's a complete difference. Like I'm not passive. I'm not biting my tongue. I'm unapologetically black and ADOS. And if
Yes,
somebody
sir.
steals something to my people, hey, I'm pulling up. I want all the smoke. Like that's just me. I'm just a member of the warrior class, and I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. You see what I'm saying?
Oh
So
yeah.
if you do something to our people, we're gonna have a problem. And
Well,
but it's
that
just so many of them that would rather let our people get hurt than use the tools of the dispersal to do something about it. Disposal.
I totally agree. We need more brothers like you guys. And in fact, Travis, what do you think about? In fact, I heard that the FBI infiltrated their hotel. Did you guys hear anything about that?
No, I haven't heard about that, but I want to shout out to Grandmaster Jay and NFAC. Sleep is for the Rich Gun Club. I saw those brothers out there in my state of Louisiana, where I'm from, born and raised. And I just want to salute all them brothers because it's time. It's overdue. And if I may, you know, pardon my language, Angela, you know, I try to hold back, but I'm gonna say what everybody in Black America, all American slaves that are warriors, all the ADOS that are warriors, all the FBA that are warriors, the B1s that are warriors and ready to get out here in these streets and do something. Fuck the Proud Boys. Fuck them motherfuckers. Basically. Because if you look at it, and the reason I say that is because if you look at it, shit, the Proud Boys are the police. Shit,
Yes.
the Proud Boys are the teachers. The
Yeah.
Proud Boys are the people that you might get some shit from in Walmart or any other store. The Proud Boys are in the government, state, federal, and local. So fuck all the Proud Boys. Because
On
I'm gonna
both
tell you
sides of
this.
the aisle. On both sides of the aisle.
Exactly. Exactly. And they've already said that if Jim Crow Joe Biden wins the election, that it's going to the race war will officially be on. But family, I want to tell all of y'all, and shout out to Be the Power, shout out to Dr. Logic Supreme. I want to give him a shout out. Shout out to Naheem YL. Shout out to Ali Bay. Shout out to Brother Josh. All y'all brothers doing great work. We want to support Tamara Johnson Shealy for
Yeah.
the Georgia Senate. Let's get her into the office. She has an ADOS policy, specific agenda for us. Let's make sure we do that. But when it comes to our lives and it comes to the seriousness, and we're in dire straits right now, you know, and a lot of people I still see at these rallies, like me and No Gun sing and Cat sing. We sing right before we had our Second Amendment Unity Walk. They had something for Breonna Taylor out there, a Black Lives Matter event out in Austin. They were dancing, twerking, they were shucking and jiving around, playing like it's no racism in it, like we're in a post-racial America. And one thing I want to tell y'all, y'all don't have to tell these white folks anything. If they ask you who you voting for, or they try to ask you questions, you don't have to tell them nothing. We don't owe them anything. They don't owe us nothing but our damn reparations. And it's in the hundreds of trillions. We got to put a price on that thing and just stop saying reparations. We need to put a price on what we want, because that's what it's going to take. And it doesn't have to just come from the federal government. The reparations can come from these institutions, all of these schools that have used us in North America. And so we got to remember that when they try to come at us and say, well, where's all this money going to come from? From the Chases, from the Wells Fargos, from all of these schools, Princeton, Yale, all of these schools, Texas, the one down here, University of Austin, Texas. All of this stuff was built by our family.
The insurance companies.
Yeah, all of it. Because they used us when we were slaves, they used us as insurance policy. We were the slave owners' insurance policy with New York Life and all of these other insurance companies. Yes, family, we were insurance policies for the slave master. So basically what I'm saying, family, is y'all stay black and stay strapped. If you don't have a weapon, I suggest that you go get one. And if you're a felon and you can't carry a weapon, see if you can talk to somebody about getting your record expunged, or see what steps you can take so that you can carry. Because in some states you might be able, if you've been out of prison for a certain amount of time, you might be able to have access to a weapon, but you won't know unless you try. So I'm telling all of y'all right now, this is the time to strap up, get you some knives, get you whatever you need. And this is not a threat to anybody on Facebook, just in case. I'm just telling everybody it's time to get warriored up, because we need warriors out here. And like No Gun said, we should have had 5 to 1,000 more brothers out there, brothers and sisters out there. But the real ones gonna show up, and the fake ones gonna sit down and hide. That's how we roll.
Hey, let me say something real quick, and then you can go on. But so when we had the Unity Walk, I had some young brothers and sisters out there that came out, and they were also local activists. And I'm gonna show you the level of respect and how things are different. So when we were out there, the police pulled up looking for me, and they came up and they were like, "Hey, whatever you guys need, we're gonna block the roads off when you guys walk to the Capitol. We're gonna shut the access road to the interstate down, everything, right?" And so everybody's looking, and this freelance reporter, he was looking, and he was like, kind of puzzled. But so these young activists, a couple nights prior, they had a little protest or whatever they were doing in Austin. And they ended up, I think like 12 people got arrested. A bunch of people got, beat up by the police and all this other stuff. And so what I told him was, one in particular, I said, look, you out here leading the sheep to slaughter. I said, you're walking around here aimlessly with no agenda, nothing specific. You're not asking for anything tangible. And all you're doing is allowing your people to get beat up and arrested. I said, but I guarantee you, you won't see none of that out here today. And sure enough, we went there, did what we had to do, and came back. Not an issue, not nothing. I said, because you all aren't being specific, and you guys are showing weakness. I said, when you start showing that there's strength and that you're not afraid of people and not afraid of them, I said, won't nobody get arrested? Won't nobody get beat up? I said, all this stuff has to stop. And he took heed. So he's been contacting me about the next couple of things that he wants to do. And I told him, I said, man, you cannot be out here. I said, because that falls on your hands. And I said, if y'all out here, I said, when you do this, talking about hands up, don't shoot, what you're telling people is, look at me. I'm unarmed. I can't defend myself. The people with me are unarmed. They can't defend themselves or me. So you can do whatever you want to me, to include kill me. And the only thing the person next to me can do is scream and tell that police officer to stop and record it. So my death is on social media. I don't subscribe to none of that stuff.
I heard that. Please let me type in the name of your militia so that folks in Texas can reach out to you and join your efforts.
Yeah, it's the The short title is the Elmer Geronimo Pratt Gun Club. The official title is the Elmer Geronimo Pratt Pistol and Rifle Gun Club of Central Texas. But you can find our on Facebook. You can find us under Elmer Geronimo Pratt, and that's how. If anybody's in Central Texas, or anywhere, like they want to join us, because like I said, there are a couple gun clubs, but they're more of the passive kind. But when you have like us, which is the Elmer Geronimo Pratt Gun Club, the Huey P. Newton Gun Club in Dallas,
Mhm.
Black Shield Militia, which is in Dallas and Fort Worth. So like we're the ones that will actively be out in the community. We'll be the
Right.
ones actively looking to train Black people. We'll be the ones when we have gatherings. Those are the three primary gun clubs that you'll see together, like you've seen on the 26th.
Mhm.
And other than this past week, and then on November 14th, we'll all be together up in Dallas,
Yeah.
in the Black communities on November 14th. And you'll see all these three gun clubs, to include the brothers out of Oklahoma City. They'll be there as well. And then I had a gun club out in Arkansas reach out to me. So, we're trying to unify with like-minded gun clubs, to patrol Black communities, to train Black people, ADOS people, and just to teach them to not fear anybody, and don't
Yep.
apologize for your lineage. Like there's nothing to apologize for.
I love that. The Elmer, Elmer, Geronimo Pratt Gun Club. They can find you in Facebook under that.
Correct.
Then you mentioned the Huey P. Newton Gun Club in Dallas.
Correct.
Mhm.
And there was one more you mentioned.
Black Shield Militia.
Okay. And then you have an event on 11/14.
Correct. That's
Correct.
going to be put on by the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, and that'll be in Dallas.
Okay. Real quick, I want to get your thoughts about the election, about the debates recently. What did you think about the Trump Biden debates? Let's start there if either of you saw it.
Yeah, I watched both of them, and to tell you the truth, you can clearly see that if Trump and Pence hadn't been listening to ADOS, that somebody close to him had been listening to him, because the talking points they used against Biden and Harris were clearly the same way that we all feel about him. When Trump hit him with the '94 crime bill, I said, interesting. And
Mhm.
when Pence hit Harris about her record in California about locking up Black people, I was like, interesting. So just to me, I mean, if I had to grade the debates or have a winner or a loser, I definitely will say the Republicans beat the Democrats, because I mean they called it how it was. Regardless of how people feel. I mean, it doesn't mean I'm going to vote for them or anything, but if I just strictly had to pick a winner and a loser from the debates, Trump clearly um, took care of business against Biden, but I didn't expect much from him anyway. And then, of course, Harris, she, like you said earlier, she's a smooth talker herself, like Obama. But Pence stuck to the script and hit her where we all knew that she was weak in, and that was in her record in California. So, I mean, again, I'm not going to vote red or blue at the top of the ticket or at the top of the ballot. But if I picked a winner and a loser, I definitely would say the Republicans, those two Republicans beat those two Democrats.
Travis, you want to weigh into your thoughts?
Well, I'm just gonna be honest. Best part of all of the debates was seeing the fly that was on Mike Pence's head. Cause flies they love shit. So
Yeah,
Mike
yeah.
Pence he gave up some shit, and I tell you, Kamala Harris gave some extra mustard on the shit. But I didn't,
Hmm.
with her little track she had in her head, she was trying to do. And you notice the thing that she tried to say, the first Black woman president and the first Black this. you know, and I'm like, okay, so my whole thing was, what are you going to be tonight? Are you going to be Indian? Are you going to be black? Are you going to be white? Or are you going to be some other type of ethnicity? Because you morph so much, I can't keep up with you. And for me, when they started talking about the thing that a lot of descendants of American slaves were waiting on in the American slave culture, I would say we were waiting on the racial part of it, because that's what affects us directly right now, as far as on a major scale in this country. And when they got to talking about the racism, they were talking about Breonna Taylor. Mike Pence was talking about Breonna Taylor, how she shouldn't have lost her life and this and that, she'll get justice. And then they went and started talking about George Floyd. And they briefly talked about George Floyd, and then they went to talking about Back in the Blue. Neither one of them are for opposing or defunding the police. They are for increasing police reform, making it more harder for us to deal with them. And so when you look at these things as a foundation of Black American B1 ADOS, or you look at it as a descendant of American slave, you got to think to yourself, this is what I'm voting for. I'm voting for two candidates that are for the opposite of what the community, the ADOS community, is asking for. We're asking for less funding for the police and more economic development for our communities, to stop the gentrification, to end the racism, to be able to stop all of the abortions that are being set up in our communities, to stop with all the Indians and Arabs at these liquor stores in the hood, to stop with all these drugs that are killing our people every day. And then we're still being sent to jail on marijuana offenses and doing time. And all of these other things that have trickled down with the lead water, which No Guns was talking about, from Flint, Michigan. You're talking about Newark, New Jersey. You're talking about Loudoun County. All of these places have been affected, even some of our places in Chicago. And I'm tired of them talking about Chicago like it's Chicago's fault that all of these killings are happening. We know why all of these killings are happening, because there are white militias out there in Chicago. They've infiltrated the police departments as the race soldiers, and they're going out here committing these crimes, kidnapping our brothers and sisters and these kids off the street. They're disappearing. No one knows where they're going. No one knows their whereabouts. I've been advocating for this on my channel, my Black Dollars University channel. I've shown people as an example of what you need to do when you call them. When you call these people, be unapologetically Black and tell them the truth. We want so-and-so fired, or whoever it may be. And that's what these campaigns have tried to diminish of what's happened. But at the end of the day, if you give them your vote, then you're for more police reform, more things happening for the police and Back in the Blue, just as an example. But none of them have talked about reparations. None of them have spoke about a Black agenda. And if they don't have that come by the time November 3rd comes, all hell is breaking loose, because voting is every 4 years. But after we're done voting, Ida B. Wells 2.0, after we're done voting, No Guns, people in the chat that's going to listen to this, then what? If we get Trump out of office, then what? If Joe Biden gets into office, then what? We still have to build. And that's what we're doing as the Elmer Geronimo Pratt Pistol and Rifle Gun Club of Central Texas and ADOS Central Texas. And we're working with our brothers around the country and sisters around the country to create change. And we support y'all, long as y'all support us. If you cooning, we're not going to deal with you. We're going to point you out, and we're going to push you to the back of the line. And you can get all the leftover breadcrumbs from the butter biscuit from Popeye's chicken. But we done with that. We building from here on out. Either you with us or get rolled over. Plain and simple. Black power.
Thank you so much for that. Let me go through the comments before I let you guys go, in case there's some questions for you from the chat. Kunta says, I think he is showing how foolish our country is. As he stated during the first election, he can shoot someone and still become president. That was Kunta's remark in relation to Donald Trump pretty much annihilating his chances. I don't know if he is or not, but because white folks tend to really be okay with identifying as supreme over being able to eat. So the fact that, you know, they would protect their right to their privilege, you know, having the complexion for the protection over economics. That's how ignorant many of them are. And so he might have a point when Trump says, I could go out here and shoot somebody and still become president. I think he's speaking to a lot of the, I call it white inferiority. Not I don't call them supremacists. That's a whole new hashtag.
And watch out for the trick words too. Watch out for the trick words too. The rioters, because he said, Mike Pence said that last night too. Yeah. Rioters, looters. Yeah, and that's us. He's talking about
yeah, he was trying to flatten the protest with the rioters and the looters, which is them.
Right.
But you see how he cloaked it to make it, you know, to share the blame in the same way Trump does when he talks about there are bad people and good people on both sides of, you know, these wars out here in these streets. So yeah, they got some slick stuff with them. Let's see here. We are voting Green Party and Democratic down ballot. Don't forget to join Vice President Angela Walker and myself. You can email your questions to me at friendsofADOSTV@gmail.com. FriendsofADOSTV, I'm writing it in the chat, guys, at gmail.com. If you have questions for Angela Walker, she will be with us for a good hour. And it's going to be as easy as I'm talking to the fella. She's a beautiful sister.
Absolutely. ADOS.
She's ADOS and a trucker.
Absolutely.
And so that is what we really need to represent us. Not that they will win, family. This is strictly being leveraged to break the back of the establishment. Akin to what I read you from the early 1900s after Roosevelt, you know, did the Buffalo Soldiers in over a murder they clearly could not have committed while being quarantined at their barracks. He took everything from them unapologetically. And so we want to do the same. We need to weaponize the only commodity we've got, which is our vote, this election cycle. And I'm saying don't throw it away on ADOS. Help the Green Party get to 5% so that we can have them on the ballots all throughout the country, because the Democrats are doing everything in their power to get the Green Party thrown off the ballot. And we should have learned with Obama, when white folks love it, we need to go the opposite direction.
That's right. That's right.
For white folks liking Kamala and Biden, we need to go the opposite direction to protect the interest of ADOS, since neither of them have anything in exchange for our vote, but more crushing police brutality in our communities. Neither of them is talking about education. No, they like that preschool to prison pipeline. Neither of them is talking about jobs. Not $15 an hour. I'm talking the $30 an hour manufacturing jobs that the boomers had to purchase homes and to make themselves partially American. We don't even have that for Gen X and the millennials. That this fight is for them, because the boomers got theirs and they're on the way to glory. Not wishing that on them anytime soon. But the bottom line is they want a peaceful, they're secure. They got their pensions. They got their homes. I don't mean to be mean, but we got to think about the future.
That's right. The long game.
So stuck on our assets. I mean, I border boomer. So I too am on the other half. This is my second best half of my life. After this, it's curtains. And I am more concerned about the country I'm leaving to the ones that are left. My daughter, your daughters and sons, and so on and so forth. I can't just be narrow-minded enough to protect my interest and not give a damn about the rest of us. None of us are free until all of us are free. So until they're talking reparations and the Black agenda, we need to come prepared every election cycle to break the back of the establishment. That's what it is, because we need to weaponize our suffering. We need to weaponize our suffering. You let either of these parties get a trifecta, ADOS is done. I've already told you, when these Democrats open up these borders to 11 million more Latinx, they'll be at 67 million to our 31 million. Because why? They give us abortion clinics and then starve us out. So last count, it was 20 million Black babies since 73 have been aborted, while folks sit up here and cry over Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was a eugenist. So we need therapy, okay? They give you abortion clinics, miseducate you, deny you of American wage, deny you of home loans, deny you of business loans, and y'all want us to have a pissing match over which one of them is more racist and better. Which racist is better for Black folks? We're not doing that anymore. The ADOS, FBA, BF1, B1, we are here to break the back of it. And I'm saying, help the Green Party. We haven't vetted them, but they may be a new place for us. We need a third party, and they're real contenders because they have a very sound agenda with reparations on that platform. Check them out at .org. I'm going to put that in the chat. So let me continue so I can get y'all out of here. Where is the link, Angela? I don't know what link you're talking about, Victoria. Please give me, you guys, when you talk, I lose track. So if you don't,
okay.
Well, I'm telling the audience here, I'll get you whatever link you need, but I just need specifics. I don't know if you're talking about the show on Sunday at 3:00 Eastern. That's noon Pacific, 2 Central, and 3 Eastern. Okay, so that's with Angela Walker, VP of the Green Party. The links are at Friends of ADOS TV, in the Facebook, in the YouTube, in Twitter, Periscope. So you can find the information there. KKK Harris, Obama 2.0, not right. Shirley talked about immigration. Immigration is being weaponized against ADOS to keep us tethered to the bottom. We're in the fight of our lives to prevent from becoming the permanent underclass. And the permanent underclass in the country our ancestors built with their lives. So we have to do something drastic, and we're asking everyone to get in the movement when it comes to breaking the establishment, and let's weaponize this vote against both parties. Jamar, good evening. Good job, Angela. Thank you, Victoria. Ricky's giving you guys the muscles. Okay. Sup, Angela? Hello, my lovely sister. Good evening. Hey, all the love in the chat. I'm trying to just get through to any questions that I haven't addressed yet. They're thanking you.
That's all right, Angela. Just make sure that these Democrats and Republicans don't show up in the Black community trying to do a fish fry. They always telling us to register to vote. And when they ask you, when you hear these people advocating and talking about register, we need everybody to register to vote. Make sure you register to vote. Just ask them the question. What am I registering to vote for? Who am I registering to vote for? And what do they have specifically for ADOS? What do they have specifically for the descendants of American slaves? Because a lot of them are just trying to get you to the polls to vote for Jim Crow Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, or they trying to get you, well, most of them trying to get you to vote for Democrats, because the Trump supporters, they pretty much already have their rallies. They have these private rallies where people don't know about them. So they are at a closed location. And then when they do have a rally, it's like something where they want to push out nationally. But they just had a rally here in Georgetown where Sheriff Robert Chody was indicted on those charges for Javier Amber. But you won't know about them because they got their own supporters, leaking out the information, because they know they'll have people to show up to counter protest the Trump rally. but I don't want to be next to them because they might be carrying COVID. They don't wear masks, so who knows? But don't let these Democrats show up for no fish fry in your community and say it's time to vote, and then you start cha-cha sliding and say, "Oh yeah," or drag your booty to the poll with some strippers and tell you it's time for you to vote. Don't let them degrade us and dehumanize us. Stand up. It's easy to go home, but it's hard to stand there and fight. Facts.
And no doubt, but we need everybody at the polls. Shayna McAhee, thank you so much, sis, for joining the live. I showed your comments. You must engage in local politics.
Right.
Most judges are elected or appointed by the governors. So to Travis's point earlier about finding out who is signing off on these no-knock warrants, you need to go through the history of the people on your ballot and pick the most progressive candidates, Democratic down ballot in your state. You must do it, family, because we've got to protect the over 42% of ADOS since COVID who rely on government assistance by the design of institutional systemic racism. To stay home this election cycle is to be politically lazy. We are encouraging everybody to get to the polls in Obama-style numbers. If they've kicked the Green Party off your ballot, leave it blank. Don't risk your entire ballot being thrown out by writing in ADOS, okay? Now, Reginald Morton wants to ask Black Dollars, why is he beefing with ADOS? I don't think...
I'm not beefing with ADOS.
He's not beefing with
my brother No Guns is ADOS, man. I'm not beefing with ADOS. I don't have no beef with ADOS.
And never has beef with us.
No.
Like he is us. Yes, he's FBA, but he's ADOS too, the lineage, and he works within the confines of the movement.
I work with everybody, brother. I work with ADOS. I work with FBA. I've worked with B1. I've also worked. I work mostly with the descendants of American slaves, with Dr. Norris Shelton, and Dr. Gerald Higginbotham. Shout out to the NEC Council, and shout out to everybody that's been working hard behind the scenes, trying to get us to economic prosperity. And I'm all about working with everyone, and that's the problem that some people have, but I don't. So I don't got no problem with ADOS, family. I love y'all, man.
I'm trying to figure out where this guy's getting his information from, because I'm ADOS. So I'm trying to figure out where's he getting his information from.
Well, he said specifically to ask Black Dollars why the beef with ADOS. And I'm saying that we've been going through some growing pains, and Travis is not to be conflated with that. He, like me, was a victim of it, actually, in the very beginning stages of him being with ADOS. You can see this brother profiling real slick, like in a baby blue and white ball cap that says ADOS on the cover of New York Times during the inaugural conference. So Travis was with us in the very beginning, and because ADOS, the national, hasn't really been formed, has no real structure, no real organization, no real accountability, we were told to go and be the solution. He, like me, when trying to be the solution, got our hands tied and got dragged and got disparaged. So Travis, went his way and did Black Dollars and started aligning with people who could embrace his creativity and the strength that he brings to the movement. And you guys have seen me, I don't stop moving because I don't ask permission to move. If I want to introduce Green Party and invoke that as a strategy that I believe to be more sound than just throwing the vote away and risking your ballot being thrown out, then that's what I'm going to do. I don't wait to kiss a ring. I'm not a loyalist. I'm not a minion. I am here exclusively for ADOS, as is Travis, as is Nick. So my thing is, these are the ones that are the movement. We are the movement. We're moving. We're in the streets. This walk was historic. It's going to be even more epic next year. So we are the laborers in the vineyard getting it done. There's no beef with ADOS
Yeah, no
because we
beef.
don't
No
believe in
beef.
beef with
I
ADOS.
promise.
We love both sides, the
Love
messy,
y'all, man.
the vineyard workers. But we don't spend a lot of energy on that anymore. That's in our rearview mirror. There's work to be done. It's called an election. And that's what I
right.
wish the whole entire organization would focus on. Voter registration, census, instead of all this ego tripping. The upcoming vote, sharing with the people about the fact that you could literally suppress your own vote if you write in ADOS and don't know your Board of Election laws. So these are the kind of shows I try to do and bring. Since this is what I want to see, we're out here being the solution. No beef with ADOS. We are ADOS, the lineage, and we're ADOS, the movement. But like Travis, I work with everybody who wants to work with me on behalf of ADOS.
Thank you, Angie.
I thank these brothers for being here. That's true. Shayna says many police officers, particularly sheriff deputies, assist with evictions. She's speaking to the correlation between the government-sanctioned executions, then the riots, and then the gentrification. There's a connection here, even though Nick is right. There's redlining and all kind of different things going on to push us out. But I also am seeing some correlations between what's happening with the government-sanctioned executions. I'm going to explore that a little more.
What people have to understand is the sheriff is the top cop of a municipality, right? So even if you have even if you have a police department, remember there may be 3, 4, 5 police departments inside a county, and so that top police officer will be that sheriff. He's an elected official. He's not appointed. He's elected, and so he's the top guy for the county. So you remember you had a judge, the district attorney, and the sheriff. They're gonna, when it comes to policing, those are going to be the 3 who really drive policies in counties. And so when you have somebody like Robert Chody for Williamson County, and he's the top guy, but he's crooked, and the prosecutor sitting next to him or the DA next to him is crooked as well, you can't really expect to get justice. And let me tell you, these guys in their sheriff's department, they were out there giving these guys gift cards to steakhouses for using excessive force against people. This is what they were doing. They were saying, oh, you beat somebody up, here's a gift card to a steakhouse. Oh, you killed that guy, here's a gift card to a steakhouse. That's what they were doing in their agency.
Good Lord, help us all. Shelly Caldwell, I thank you so much for joining the live. Shauna says, and the ancestors ain't playing either. Astrid Maurer, my love from the GA. Thank you, my sister, for joining the live. She's asking you, brothers, where should we go to train with the guns? Where do you suggest she goes? Do you know any place in Georgia where there's militias like yourselves that she can get with that are serious about teaching the women and the young adults? I'm actually looking to take my daughter with me to the gun range. Where should they go to formally train?
So NAGA headquarters, which is the Black NRA, is out of Georgia.
It's called
NAGA, the National African American Gun Association. It's the Black NRA. And so their headquarters is in Georgia, and I can't even think of some of the clubs right now in there, but if she Googles NAAGA, and then she'll go there, and then she'll be able to search by state. So that would be a good start. The second thing that she would want to do is if she goes on Facebook and Googles black guns or black gun owners or black gun groups, they'll come up, and then she'll be able to also find like-minded groups in that area. And then once she gets in those groups on Facebook, they'll be able to point her in the right direction, like what range to go to, who's a good individual to train with, what type of firearms based on what she wants to do, what is she looking to do, whether it's self-defense, home defense, everyday carry. She can, if she goes on our page, on the Elmer Geronimo Pratt page, and just says that, hey, she saw the show, I mean, I can point her
Yeah.
in the right direction as well. So, it's just different ways. But yeah, if she goes on NAAGA, she'll be able to find her local NAGA club, and that's a start. And if she goes on Facebook in her area, in her city, and looks up black gun owners, black gun clubs, that's a good place for resources for her to find as well. And she'll be able to find like black gun stores because we have one here. So she can buy a firearm even though it's manufactured by white folks, but the middleman, the person who will sell it to her, it may be black owned. So if she wants to support black owned, she can do that as well.
Yes, we all should be supporting Black owned exclusively. If you have a business or a show that you're doing, please type it in the chat so the family can find you and support you. Adam Moss, ADOS, thank you for joining the live. He's asking, how do you feel about INFAC?
I like them. I think what they're doing is pretty
Love
good. You know what I mean? Like,
Grandmaster Jay.
we definitely need more people like that. And it's the same thing. A lot of people, they question what Jay does, or they question his authenticity, or you hear a lot of people say, is he an agent and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And all I have to say about that is it's so easy to criticize people from the keyboard, from tweeting or whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
But the same people who criticize, people like that are the same ones who aren't out in the streets doing the work. Regardless of what you think about them or what you think you may know about them, at the end of the day, he unifies people and he gets them out there and they're standing for something. Like that's what you want. I've never seen a race soldier kill a ADOS man or woman, and in a matter of months, the family not just gets a settlement, but the amount that they received, that didn't come from out of the kindness of their heart. That came
Right.
because Jay showed up to Louisville with 400, 500, 600 armed black people and demanded something be done. And that's what happened. So regardless of how you feel about him, he sends a message. Whether he did it directly or the energy, and they didn't want their city to turn into a war zone, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, he got something tangible for that family. Now, their daughter will never come back. I mean, she's gone, and that's tragic. But the flip side to it is he was able to get results that other people wasn't able to do.
Amen to
And
that.
we know some of the brothers that was out there with Grandmaster Jay. So, it's not like we haven't spoken to some of those gun clubs or plan on doing some work with some of those gun clubs. One being Sleep is for the Rich, that's in Shreveport, Louisiana, with Brother Nicky Daniels. He was out there trying to make sure our black women weren't harmed by white supremacists in Shreveport. So we're going to be doing some work with them brothers real soon. They got our information, we got theirs, and it's just a matter of time before we all get together on this Southern Collective Revolution, and we're going to ignite everybody, and everybody's going to be riding. All the warriors going to be standing up, and we can't wait to see it. But we just got to do our part and keep moving. Absolutely.
Amen to all of that. Kunta says some of us have our heads in the sand when it comes to black and white relations in the U.S. Well, that's by design. They're constantly promoting interracial relations. They're constantly promoting immigration over ADOS. They're constantly pushing whiteness and making other groups white, doing everything they can to extinct us is what's happening. And then that combined with the music and the videos and the decimation of Black love, the abortion clinics, like I said, in our communities, over giving us the resources we need to be American. Everyone else over the ADOS. And the beauty of the founding of this movement is that we are unapologetically ADOS, FBA, BF1, B1 first.
All
It's not
that.
a party thing, it ain't an organization thing. We love us Black, we love us strong, and we're not concerned about everyone else who has siphoned off the tit. We're pushing all the other groups off and just exclusively guaranteeing that gate around everything ADOS so that others won't encroach it. And by the time the checks come to us, they be $20 a piece over the trillions we are owed over multi-generations. And so that is the strength of this movement. And the integrity of that can't be disparaged, no matter, the infighting or the agents of chaos on the outside. The core people are here for it, and we're continuing to fight on behalf of ADOS, no matter what. We done found our square, and we're squarely on it.
That's it.
Okay, family. It's hard to have warriors when these other guys are against Black men. This is Sia Latre, leader of ADOS African Black Solutions. It's hard to have warriors when these other guys are against Black men. Well, I'll let you guys speak to it, but real quick, we're out of time. We are at George Floyd 846. So it's time for the warrior in each of us to rise, or they're going to annihilate us one by one. Brothers, did you want to speak to that? It's hard to have warriors when these other guys are against Black men. Any thoughts?
I mean, so the other guys, I mean, she could be referring to a lot of different people, but our biggest, I'm not going to say rival because there's really no comparison, but the problem is we have a lot of these brothers that are afraid. And so that's our biggest problem. That's our biggest issue is these brothers out here scared to stand up. They would rather go hide in the corner or not come out of the house or
shoot each other.
So I just can't, at some point, people either going to have to stand with us or they're going to have to, just completely stay out of the way, and that's what it comes down to. So, I mean, if that's what she's referring to, then yeah, I agree, because if we go out here and I'll be somewhat specific. When we got ready to go out here on September 26th, we had all these quote unquote brothers out here like, yeah, we support y'all. We had the president of local NAACP saying, yeah, I got y'all back. He was like, I want to come out. I want to show my support. I want to do the open remarks, all this stuff. All right, cool. 3 days before we had the march, he calls and he's like, what y'all doing don't align with what the NAACP is doing. And I'm thinking, man, you knew 2 months ahead of time what was going on, but now all of a sudden you're saying you've been getting calls and you don't know if you want to do this. And so me and him kind of talked, but to make a long story short, the same thing that he was saying that he was against or he couldn't do, the NAACP supported the march in Lafayette, Louisiana. So how are you telling me that what the NAACP is doing doesn't align with what we're doing, but yet Lafayette NAACP aligns with what we're doing? You see what I'm saying? So, you're one of those. To me, there's 4 C's that people fall in when they don't want to support what we're doing. You're either a coward, a coon, a clown, or you're compromised. You're one of the 4. That's it. And so he's one of those 4, and you could be a combination of any one of the 4. But I just know that we're out here risking our lives for something. And if you can't get down with that, then you need to say so. If you hold a position like that, like president of NAACP, you need to retire. You need to resign. You need to step down, because again, like I said in the beginning, everybody ain't built for this. And if you're afraid, then you need to go ahead and ride off into the sunset and let the warriors take over.
That's it.
Rita says, thank you for this info. Welcome to the live, my love. She's another great person to follow on YouTube, does great interviews. Rita Forte, Bay Area, ADOS.
Hey, Rita.
I don't own, but I sure am thinking about it. Well, I don't own yet either. And I've been to the range once, but I'm absolutely going to take this advice and look up the black gun store owners in
Mhm.
the SoCal.
Yeah, Red. I think it's called Redstone Arsenal, or I'll get you
Yeah,
information. I think it's Redstone Arsenal in Southern California. It's black owned. They do
yeah.
training and everything there.
Oh, great. I need to find them. Redstone Arsenal here in SoCal.
Hmm.
SoCal. You guys can reach out. You guys, if you don't have any luck with your Google, I put Nick Bazelle and Travis Johnson's names in the chat. You can reach out to them directly. Anthony Moore says he loves y'all. I would assume all of us, me included. Kunta says the four CCCC are locked together. I don't know what that means. The fours.
Cool. Oh,
The one that you just said. Because
cool,
you
cool. Yeah, when you said that, I got what he was saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey, you know, we the most creative people in the world, man. That's one thing I love. And see, what y'all need to understand too is with this election coming up, y'all gotta remember it doesn't take 50 million people, black people, to be in Congress. All it takes is a quality number of ADOS, descendants of American slaves, to be in Congress to create that change. And we've shown that it can be done. You know, it's not about the all of these big numbers. It's about the quality of the people that are in the position, because they can do so many things, and if they get the people behind them, because their agendas are black, it's a black agenda and it's driven by that, it's gonna be a lot of people behind those politicians, like the Elmer Geronimo Pratt Pistol and Rifle Gun Club of Central Texas, protecting them. If they're in Texas, we'll be there. If they're in Georgia, we got brothers and sisters that'll be there. So it's a trifecta. It's a domino effect. And so just keep that in mind. Let's focus on our officials that are ADOS, that are trying to get into office. And even if we're not in those states, find a way to support them by sharing their information, donating, or doing whatever you can to make sure that we get them there. And when we get them there, it don't stop. We're going to hold them accountable, just like it was before we put them in office. But you don't wait until these politicians get in office to hold them accountable. You hold them accountable before they get in office.
That's real talk. Can I have the CCCC acronym? It was Coon something.
Coons, clowns, cowards, and compromise.
Nick, you just told us something, man. Hashtag CCCC.
Yeah, that's it. That's it right there.
Yeah, you're either a coon, you're a clown, you're a coward, or you're compromised.
Well, Kunta said you all four if you're any. If you want to see, you four see. If you want to see, you four see. Okay.
Hey,
Shout out to
Kunta, I'm telling you, you can be multiple. So yeah.
Yeah. But with that said, I mean, I'm gonna pray us out. We at almost 2 hours.
We do this all the time. Ida B. Wells, we do this all the time. You know, we come on, we're gonna go over time because it's too much black power up here. The ancestors with all of us. So you know how it is. They drive everything we do.
Look, YouTube rejected my comment. I should have spaced out coon. And then Periscope.
Yeah, they got me banned right now. I'm banned. My channel banned right now too. So don't worry about it.
Tricking the system and spacing out coon because they straight up would not. Let me try it again. 4 CCCC. I'm gonna space out coon. C-O-O-N. Clown.
Nick, you started. It's your fault, man.
Coward.
And compromise. Yeah.
Okay, let's see if they reject it now. I spaced out cool.
Oh man.
YouTube, oh my God, I spaced it out. They still rejected it.
Just do a hashtag CCCC.
Yeah, I did that. Well, okay, let me see. Hashtag CCCC.
Because you know we gotta have our own code. You know, this gotta be our own code words. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, family, listen here. I'm gonna pray us out while the brothers are still here. Y'all really don't want to sit here and hear me go off on who was the president tonight. I think it's Woodrow Wilson. I will come back and do the Woodrow Wilson thing. I don't know if I'll get to it before Tuesday next week, but I'll do story time. I usually don't have guests, but when I do, I should probably just not fool with the reading because we go hard in the paint, and it's been really, really rich. And I'm really, really thankful to the two of you. I'm thankful
Thank you for
to
you
my
too.
co-host in the chat. They know how much I love them. I'm going to pray us out. I want you guys back here Sunday at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific, 2 Central, to help show all the love to
Absolutely.
Vice Presidential candidate Angela Walker, ADOS. Okay, family. So please come back, share, share, share. Go to YouTube, like, share, subscribe, and just thank you, guys. Thank you so much. I look forward to the next time you guys come on. It's been a lovely exchange.
Always,
Thank you,
always.
out of Be Well 2.0.
I love that. That just makes me tickle pink. What a compliment. That's huge to me. And with that said, family, let us pray us out that the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever ADOS and its allies are, God truly is family because you are the face of God. You are the voice of God. You are the body temple of the Spirit of the living God. Until Sunday, family, you go out here in these streets and you act like you know who you are, and you make it a beautiful, God-inspired rest of your evening and work week. I love you, Black. I love you, Strong. Peace. Thanks, fellas. I'll be in touch. You know I will.
All right, all right.
Bye.